Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, welcome. So, Hajime no Ippo 1481 or 1481 has just released, and I wanted to give my initial thoughts on it. I don't know if I'll call this a full out review or just my initial thoughts. I actually wanted to sleep on this chapter a little bit, but as I was lying in bed, I was just thinking about it and just really wanted to just get my thoughts out. So, I put on an old shirt, I put the camera on, and we're just going to speak. So this is sort of just me just talking to you right now without really having my thoughts centered at the moment, because I just want to talk about it right as of this moment. So Hajime no Ippo 1481 is the conclusion of the Mashiba versus Rosario fight, and I will say that I think most of us predicted this to end this way. Most certainly, a lot of the people that were reading it on the Hajime no Ippo subreddit, where for the past couple of weeks we're predicting this to happen. And the reason why is because Morikawa has been stalling for 2 weeks, blue balling us, so to speak, for 2 weeks now. So a lot of us expect it, will you reach, will he reach? A lot of us were expecting him not to, so to speak. And exactly in this chapter, he was like that far away. That was the difference between victory and defeat. It was literally just an inch. Now, of course, a lot of the questions now are, what next? When did he lose? And I think we all know when he lost. I think it was it last chapter where he got hit and we didn't actually see his facial expression. Like from that point on, we just saw Rosario's expression. We didn't really see Mashiba's expression. Now, I think there's a lot of, I don't want to say death flags, but maybe there are genuine death flags that appeared over these last few chapters, and it really boils down to one simple fact, and that is that he acknowledged Ippo. I know it sounds very cliche, but I feel like Morikawa, since like we hit like 1,100 or so, he's really like just said, you know what, I'm doing my own thing. I'm not following the formula. I'm doing my own thing. But if the second that he acknowledged Ippo, if he were to fall short, which he obviously has, but then also were to, let's say, be incapacitated, then I would say that that would be following a little bit of the cliche, but it would also be breaking the cliche. It would be following the cliche in terms of other boxing shows, other fighting shows have done something similar where you know what, I acknowledge my rival, and then they perish from that point forward, or maybe are incapacitated permanently from that point forward. So that would be following the cliche. It would be breaking the cliche because ultimately it's still a shonen manga, and so there are certain cliches that sort of follow the shonen trope, and I think that would be breaking from that specific mold. Now, look, at the end of the day, we're gonna have to wait now. We're gonna have to wait now. We're gonna have to wait to see how things pan out. But what I could definitely see is like Mashiba being like, you know what, I acknowledge you, Ippo. If Mashiba is going to be a-okay after this, because the way it also ended was very not uncharacteristic, but it was very sudden. You see him fall, and that's it. It's like that's the end. And again, do I know exactly how it's gonna, what's gonna happen next? No, I do think I hope he's gonna be fine, because like Mashiba is a character that you either love or you dislike. He's done a lot of dirty things that you can look at and say, "Oh no, I don't see how people can love that." He's been very unsportsmanlike, and now that he's finally like gone above that, now it seems to be his downfall. Now there is a very there's a saying that immediately came to my mind, and it's one of the, for my opinion, it's one of the like moments to me that sticks out to me the most from Ippo. Now, there's a lot of moments that really stick out, so I can't say it sticks out to me the most because there's a lot of moments that stick out the most. But it is Kamogawa speaking to Ippo saying, "Not everyone that works hard succeeds, but everyone that succeeds has worked hard." And that's really what came to mind here. Like Mashiba has worked hard. He's dedicated his time, effort, and developed as a not just as a fighter but also as a person to this point. And now you're really just thinking to yourself, well, is this where it all leads? Because presumably, like obviously this is just presumption here, but presumably, um, with Mashiba faltering, we have a Volk who's of that generation who has succeeded, but will all the other ones falter as well? And I think that's the path that it looks like it is going to go. So I don't know, I don't know. I think the person I want to actually like hear from the most, let's just assume that Mashiba is A-okay, right? The person I actually want to hear from the most would be Takamura. Like genuinely, Takamura is the person I want to hear. Like right now, next chapter, if it just starts with Takamura having a little dialogue or a little monologue, I would be over the moon, because he's always talked about crossing the line. What separates the greats from the good, and you could always say that he was, I was gonna say he always crossed the line in a different manner, but obviously that wasn't what he was talking about specifically. But would one say that he maybe regressed from the line? I don't want to say that as well, because just because you turn from a dirty fighter, quite frankly, to be as brutally honest, to someone that actually like respects the game, respects the sports, and participates in it with full effort, that does not make you a bad fighter. That does not mean that you have regressed from being above the line in one way or another to now regressing behind it. That's why I'm just like, the line obviously hasn't got anything to do with it, but I do wonder what Takamura's perspective on this is. Like, why did you just falter? Just literally that short. And I don't know. Here's my thoughts, right? If he perishes, like, let's just say, gone, all right, permanently. Not from the boxing scene, but from the scene, right? How would that get? Because my thought is always, how is Ippo going to get back into the story? That's always been my thought, right? Like for these past 200 odd chapters or so, I don't even know how many. My thought has always been, how is this going to lead to Ippo getting back into the ring, right? And my thought is, I don't see it if he perishes, because if he perishes, Kumi, his sister, will be upset, and she's not going to be like, Ippo, I want you to go into the ring and fight. So like the way I see it is that he gets incapacitated. So as in the sense that like he won't be able to fight anymore going forward. But he will start going off at people like, oh, you're a coward. You're all this, you're that. I don't see how that would really motivate Ippo, because Ippo's not that kind of character that would get motivated by that. At least I don't think so. But that's the only way now that I could see this potential leading to something, and I don't think it will. What I think will lead the story forward will be Sendo. I think Sendo, I always thought it was Miyata, but Miyata, he's just dicking around at this moment. Well, as I said, I just wanted to speak at the moment, just to just get my thoughts out there, because I wanted to sleep on this because I didn't know. I mean, I was prepared for this. I think I was expecting this, in all fairness, right? But I wasn't sure how I would feel about it. And now that I've read it, I'm still not sure how I feel about it. And that's sort of why I wanted to actually sleep on this. But like I said, my thoughts were just like running through my head, because I was reading it on my phone. That's why you keep seeing me looking down, because I was reading it on my phone while I was like, planning on sleeping. Like, Ippo's out. Let me just have a quick read through it. That's basically my thoughts. And so I wouldn't initially wanted to sleep on it, just to gather my thoughts. But as I was just sitting there and just like thinking about it more, I was just like, you know what? Let me talk. Let me get up. Let me, the lazy one, get up and just turn on the camera and talk. a little bit about this. And that was me talking about this. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'm really like intrigued. Like, what do you think about this? Like, where do you think the story goes? Do you think this might be his permanent end? Do you think it might be his permanent end to his boxing career? We haven't really had like deaths in the story, so that's why like I don't think that is what's necessarily going to happen. But I do think there's been a lot of like death flags for like these past 40, 50 odd chapters, like at least 20 for sure, but even beyond that I feel like there's been a lot of death flags. And so to me it's like one of those things where I'm just like, huh, I, has this all been a build up for that? And I am not sure. Like, I genuinely, I'm not sure. Like, if you were to ask me right now, if you were to say, Alrightio, what do you think? Like, what are the odds that Mashiba dies, right? Or has, permanently, is permanently disfigured or permanently, scarred and can't box anymore? Here is how I would sort of like order it, right? Death, I would say, is at, you know what? I would say it's all at 33%. Generally, I would say all of it is at 33%. I thought about it. I was gonna say death at 30. Permanently retired at like 50, and then like 20%. Oh, he just lost, but he's gonna come back. Sort of like that. But no, generally, now that I've like spoken a little bit, my thoughts have actually changed. I've convinced myself, I guess you could say, that I'm gonna have like all three of them at 33%. I think death is at 33%. I think permanently having to retire is at 33%, and I also think that okay, it's a loss. He can come back from this. Maybe not reach the same heights as he has, but at least he has an appreciation for boxing. And you know what? Instead of like wanting to be the world champion, now he's just like, I do it because I enjoy it. But doesn't reach the same heights. I don't know. That's also 33%. Or maybe he just comes back and just dominates again. Who knows? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your. There won't be a review from me. Let's call this my review, my initial take / review. But yeah, I will see all of you in the next one, everyone. Do appreciate if you would actually give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more Ippo videos in the future. Like I said, I usually don't really. I mean, I do a generic like rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe thing. But like in this one, I generally would ask if you could like this video as well as comment your thoughts on the chapter. Just cause I got out of bed, that by itself counts for something, right? So if you could like the video and just let me know your thoughts, so that by the time I wake up, I actually get to see like what people think, which to me at this point is very important, because I want to see what people's opinions are on this chapter. So with that said, peace out, have a good one, see you all next time, and bye.